It's going through, but I got my normal springtime allergies and cough and all that, so don't pay any attention to me. I'm fine, but PJ is a little under the weather. We sent him home so he wouldn't contaminate everybody else. He'll be good to go tomorrow.
So DeMar, Kyle maybe even?
Kyle's a little bit. DeMar had it last week, and I think he probably gave it to PJ and Kyle. So.
But that's it so far.
That's it. Nobody else.
It's just a bug, right? Not.
It's nothing serious. I don't think. Just on the weather, feeling a little achy, but they're fine. At this time of year, there's nobody 100%. I don't think.
Yeah.
A lot's been made of Giannis and Middleton as being their two key players. Who do you see as sort of the X factors on that Bucks roster that you really got to pay attention to because they can get off in there? A guy like Beasley, for instance.
Well, you got Monroe also. Monroe is a huge X factor. Beasley is an X factor. Jason Terry off the bench. They've got a lot of guys that are very capable. And we got to make sure we have attention to detail when they come in the game, exactly what we want to do. Because any of those guys can really step up and hurt you. Snell, he's very capable of having a big game. So we got to make sure we are up into him and make sure we dictate where we want him to go.
You made a point that you like guys to go over screens because it gets them engaged and makes them play harder.
Right.
Is there anything else you have to do with this group to ensure that they get that level of toughness?
Well, again, it's the playoffs, and the physicality is so important, getting into them initially, making sure you understand KYP, what your guy's trying to do, whether he's a driver, cutter, and they do a good job of mixing it up. Their players do. So we got to make sure we understand who's the cutter, who's the shooters are, who the shooters are with their team, because they're capable of hurting you in different ways. They're trying to get to the paint. They're very aggressive, cutting, driving team and post-up team that are trying to get the ball into the paint.
Your defensive improvement this year. I mean, when you look at how versatile you can be with DeMar, Tucker, all those guys, you can just switch off pretty much 1 through 4 anyway, 2 through 5.
Right.
What, is that the key of all your is that the key to your improvement defensively?
No, I think just also the toughness that we've added with Serge and PJ. Those two guys bring us a level of toughness that you can't put a number on. The physicality that they bring and the way they attack, they talk defense, they take pride in their defense. They just bring a defensive mindset, Michael, that you can't really define. They talk about it in the huddles. They talked about it yesterday after practice. They talk about it on the court. And, that's something that you got to have. Last year, Biyombo did that, but he not at the level of Serge and PJ. And, calling guys out when they do make a mistake, they do that too.
On the point of how to stop Giannis, is the one strength that you have the ability to put multiple guys on him, with Pat on him, with PJ, with Damari on him in any given situation?
Yeah, that's a plus. I mean, we got a number of guys we can look at. Also, we have zone that, we can look at also. There are a lot of different things that we can do to make sure we protect each other, protect the paint. So, those are the things that we got to really concentrate on. But again, I think Doug said it earlier. It's just not a one-man show. He's passing that ball and assisting to somebody. So he's got shooters out there. Their shooting went up when Chris Middleton came back. So we got also to have can be a single effort game. You got to protect the paint, then get out. We got to make sure we understand where those shooters are, where the cutters are, that type of thing, because they do a great job of cutting once the ball is being driven, once the ball goes into the post. So we got to have awareness of that while he has the ball.
Coach, I was thinking about DeRozan hitting that shot. I think it was the first game that you guys played this year. Snell was like in his jersey, and he hit that shot in Milwaukee.
It was in Milwaukee, yeah.
In Milwaukee. Where is DeRozan maybe improved even this season, where you see that he's hitting such shots?
Well, he's very comfortable within his own skin. I mean, he is understanding who he is. He's harder now to speed up. Before, when he was younger, you could double team him, you could press up into him, it would bother him. But now he's more comfortable. Just all the USA basketball experience, multiple All-Star games. He's very comfortable in his own skin. So that's the difference right now. And 2, 3 years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, he wouldn't have been that comfortable against double team or against someone being that physical with him. But now he's a man, and we've watched him grow up. So that's the most, time, and that's something that you can't give anybody. You want to give it to players, but it just takes time and everything in this game. It doesn't come overnight.
Dwane, Masai was talking earlier about the intensity of the team. How can you maintain that intensity from round one right on through to however long you're in?
Well, that's what this time of year is about. It's about intensity, attention to detail, no oh crap moments, and it's so important right now that, and I think we have it. I think we have natural guys that we don't have to say giddy up to. And I think that's so important that you have a group that have a heartbeat like that. We have a culture like that. If a guy is not bringing it, he sticks out like a sore thumb. And that's what we've tried to develop here. And, we talk about that every night. And so now once the playoff comes, it's nothing different. It's just more defined. It's more the focus and spotlight is on you that night. And it's one game at a time. So that's kind of where our culture defensively and offensively is built. We don't have to worry about a back-to-back. You don't have to worry about, 5 games in 7 nights or 8 nights or whatever it is. So, that's kind of how we're built. And that's where Masai and Jeff have done a good job of bringing guys in with that type of playing personality.
Is that a common thread in elite teams in your experience?
In my experience, you don't have to, they're self-starters. You have a group of, in Dallas we had a group of old self-starters, so that's even better. But, in Seattle we had a group of old self-starters around a couple of young whippersnappers in Gary and Sean. So, it's better if you have old, but again, we have a young group of self-starters. And I think that's something that really is what you got to have to be able to sustain what Eric's talking about. Because if you have to crack the whip every night to get them to that level, to get going, that's hard to do. But when it's part of your playing personality, it's part of your nature, your DNA, it's a little bit easier. And I think that's what has helped us through some tough times this year, is that innately our guys were tough people, and tough times made them tougher. And that's the way I'm built. That's the way Masai's built. That's the way I think our whole culture is built on people who are self-starters and grinders. And you look at any, I would say San Antonio's that way, and in their own way, Golden State's that way. So, but I think that's where you have to be successful in anything in life, if you want to put it that way.
Dwane, does that start then even before basketball? Guys, where they come from, their upbringing?
You're exactly right. Exactly where I'm coming from. If you want to self-starter where I'm from, you don't eat. So, you better help them get to the table and be aggressive. So it carries over into a lot of things. This is an old story. Coach Rupp used to watch recruits eat and see how aggressive they were, how they cut their meat and how they ate when he was recruiting, and there's something to that. So, but I think you got to have that, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.